Welcome to Behind the Smoke Podcast, Barbecue War Stories. My name is Shawn Walchef with Cali Comfort Barbecue. We are recording above the butcher shop with my man Derek Marso from Valley Farm Market. What's going on, Derek?
Not much. A beautiful day in San Diego. We got rid of our crazy wild storm where we got about an eighth of an inch of rain. And, it's good. There's not a cloud in the sky. I can't complain.
Yeah, today, obviously, beautiful day in San Diego. We're lucky and very fortunate to live where we live. One of the cool things about this podcast, it allows us to dig deep behind business and the people that we get to meet because of barbecue, the doors that are opened up to us. Our guest today is Joey Smith from Levy Restaurants, and Joey and I met because of our relationship with the San Diego Gulls, as well as Valley View Casino Center, AEG, and Ernie Hahn. Joey, I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a year and a half.
Yep, constantly. I think I ducked you for a
You've
good
been
moment
ducking
there.
me. You've been ducking me, but for good reason. Joey was the director of operations when Cali Comfort, when we made our deal with Valley View Casino Center to sell barbecue down at the San Diego Sports Arena. We did that deal with Ernie Hahn as well as Ari Siegel with the San Diego Gulls. Both of them have been on the podcast. Joey is the third piece of the triangle. He is the one that is behind the scenes. So every time you go to a major event, a major stadium, Super Bowl, Grammy Awards, you name it, Levy Restaurants is all over the United States and Canada, 40,000 employees. They do $1.5 billion in revenue. And that's doing restaurants and doing things in sports entertainment. And we're honored to have you here to talk about your new position up at StubHub as the director of operations and kind of the war stories that you've learned in your time in hospitality and the food service business. So welcome to Behind the Smoke. Well,
thank you. Thanks for having me. I definitely been looking forward to this moment. So, I appreciate the invite. It's definitely...
Don't fuck it up.
I will. It's definitely been quite the experience, I'd say, since we first met, back at Valley View. And I can't remember how that relationship came about. Was it Ernie that introduced us? Or
Ernie introduced us, yeah. So actually it was because of Dominic. Dominic was a good friend that tailgates Charger games, but he also works for iHeartRadio, and iHeart was bidding on the contract, the radio contract for the Gulls. So it was between iHeart and Mighty 1090. He met with Ernie. He met with Ari. They, had a great conversation. Ernie and Ari were looking. They're like, well, is there anybody that we should contact that might not be on our typical sponsor list? And Dominic recommended that he reach out to me, and
it's been great. Yeah, I know. At first,
one thing led to another, and we met, and we had to do a deal for us to get actual barbecue into Valley View Casino Center.
Exactly, and that was really the peak. I mean, that's really when we started to change Valley View's kind of food culture and food story. It was you were kind of one of the first vendors to come in and help with that. I had just come on, I think 6 months before. I had just opened up University of Colorado the year before that.
Buffaloes, go Buffs.
Yeah, college is a different experience. I could say that. It's definitely more of a grind, you know.
What were you doing in Colorado?
So I had, originally I was at the United Center, so I was the ADO of concessions. Okay. I got this opportunity. We had just got the contract at CU. So it was actually with the athletics department, so not the university. So I took over the F&B, or Levy took over the F&B for all of CU's athletics.
Really?
So my very first day, or my very first event anyways, we had a full bowl stadium CU game, and then across the campus in the basketball arena, we had the Republican National Convention. This is my first day. They're 4 miles apart on the campus, and we don't have trucks. There's no kitchen, similar to Valley View, So it was definitely a challenge, a learning experience. And here I am, a new DO.
Yeah.
And college accounts, they run a little leaner, so your management staff's a little greener, things like that. There's things that you just don't know until you're the man, too, So I'm learning my job. I'm learning how to be a leader. I have people that have under me that probably never managed anybody or even interviewed folks. So it was definitely a whirlwind experience there initially. And I spent about a year and a half there, managed a $3 million investment as well for Levy. So we invested some money back into the account, which is nice, help
equipment, concession stands,
concepts, concessions, the university was going under a $110 million renovation too. Mm-hmm. So we were very much makeshift in year one. Now if you go there, totally different experience. They have new facilities and things like that. But we were setting up and breaking down in the snow every game.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's a campus first
How many is
Stadium,
Folsom
second.
seat?
I think the
40,000?
67,
60?
somewhere in there,
It's
or 40.
because of the expansion.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when I went to Boulder, I believe it was like 40,000, but then they built all those suites.
Yeah, it's funny. My first time, I talk about coming full circle. Out of college, I worked for Omni Hotels. So I was recruited by Omni Hotels.
What did you study in college?
Hospitality. So I got my major in business, studied in hospitality, right? Yeah. And we talked about hotels, we talked about restaurants, hospitals, never sports and entertainment, right? So I didn't even know this world existed to me. Got recruited by Omni, moved me to Detroit, moved me to Colorado, and as part of the recruitment process in Colorado, they take me to a CU game. And I get to watch Mason Crosby, playing for CU at the time, kick a 62-yard field goal. And I was in the coach's office there, has a deck that overlooks the field, right? And Omni's title sponsor there. And then, come full circle, like 10 years later, I'm running the place. It was just crazy. Such an incredible experience. And I ended up in San Diego. My RVP out here called me one day. And he's like, hey, we just got an account, San Diego. It's a smaller account, but we got big ideas for it. Or, we think it can do something. Do you want to go? And I'm like, never been to San Diego. Sounds great. Sign me up. Sign me up. I'll be there. So I think 2 weeks later, living in San Diego.
And so you met Ernie Hahn when you came down.
Yeah, we had a brief phone interview. And Ernie's a different guy. He's not your typical GM. He fits Southern California. He's laid back, so talking to him on the phone, I picked that up right away, and that's a big part of my personality. I didn't grow up in a very prim and proper household and things like that. I never saw my dad wear a suit or shave or anything like that, so that laid backness and things like that and his vision was something I connected with right away. I was like, this is a guy that wants somebody to come in, wants somebody to make a difference. I like that. I like being the guy. I like being relied on. I like making decisions. I'm not afraid of it, so that's a big part of it for me. And he gave me the kind of the leeway to mold Valley View, right? There really wasn't anything going on. Airmark really hadn't done much to the venue in several years. It was like somebody had lost eyes on the venue for a good time. So, getting in there and seeing basically a blank canvas, and I'm like, man, I can do whatever I want. And that's when we start to have these types of conversations. And then Pizza Port and my love for craft beer just made it even easier, then we bring in Ballast and we bring in the Tap House. And that's what San Diego's about, right? Yeah. I mean, it was just like I walked in, I'm like, you can buy a Bud Light. Day one, I was like, you buy a Bud Light, that's about it. And it's, nothing against AB, great sponsors and great partners. But you need that other element as well, so, and then the $2 beers, and it just went rolling from there,
Well, it's more about creating the experience and having something where people can come and, when we go out, if we're going to spend $100 and all you're going to give me is a hot dog and a Coors Light, I mean, don't kid yourself, I'll do it, but it's
so you're going to go somewhere before or after.
Absolutely.
And, that was the other thing you battle in San Diego is you got a Chick-fil-A in your parking lot, you got AM, PM, how do you stop people from going, a Phil's down the road, how do you stop people from going there and how do you get them engaged in the venue? And I think we did a really good job of that, and people are definitely eating now. But it's bringing in the local vendors that add value that people recognize that, like, when they first, I can't do barbecue. I definitely can't do barbecue at Valley View, right? I'm not an expert at that. I don't have the means or the tools necessary to me or available to me. So it's, why not go find an expert? Yeah. Why not go find somebody that is good at this, that people already recognize? And that's where, great partners like you come in, I think.
I think that's also, it's a testament to Levy. I mean, to give you the leeway to be able to do those deals and to work out and be creative and be outside of the box. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the sports entertainment, when you think about when you're growing up, is what do you go when you go to a stadium? You get a hot dog, you get popcorn, you get a Coke or a beer, right? They don't have options like they do now. Exactly. But that takes leadership within companies like Levy.
Yeah, so you're getting sushi rolls at Dodger Stadium today. Right. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people aren't thinking about it. We sell
sushi at a baseball game?
We sell like a 10-ounce ahi tuna burger.
Really?
Poke bowls, things like that. Things that a vegan buffalo cauliflower wrap, right? Was a new item, and it actually took, like, it's selling. And it's things like that. That's just like 10 years ago. The football fans not gonna buy that. They just want their Bud Light and their hot dog and call it a day. It's like, well, actually, they do.
Well, it's a big thing too. With Shawn, don't discredit yourself and taking on something like that, where you were completely. You had no idea what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah.
And being open-minded enough to say, hey, you know, if I want growth, if I want scalability, if I want all those things, this is what I have to do. Putting your neck out there to say, okay, here's growth, here's relationships. These are things that I can take on to the next level. I mean, that's a big thing for you as a business owner and as a leader in the community to say, hey, here's my brand. Here, I'm going to do it. And guess what? I don't have a fucking playbook. We're going to go.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people in your position, a lot of folks I do business with are just working in single storefronts, and this is something totally different, and it's totally different than a standalone. You know, it's a totally different beast, and we have some folks that do more in venue than they ever did in their standalones, you know, revenue. But it also takes the foresight. You know, you're not in this to make a ton of money, right?
Correct.
It's about the relationships we develop, the folks we get to meet, the customer impressions that you get, how many guests come through that venue and get to see your name, taste your food. You know, that's what it's about. You know, when it comes to the deals and things, nobody's making a ton of money off it. You know, even from our split, we're splitting that with somebody else as well. So, you know, it's about adding the value, you know, and it allows me to focus on the things that I do best. You know, I sell beverage, I strategize, I plan. Those are the things I want to be doing.
I think that's big too, is for people to understand that you have to make sure that you're doing what you do best in your business. Knowing that that's not your strong suit, and saying, okay, here's let's get those experts in, like Shawn, although he wasn't an expert at doing necessarily this, but he's an expert in barbecue and can bring that in. You know, that's big. And I mean, you can't be too big. It's a big issue for me, and I'm always honest about this. Is kind of letting go of things. I think I can do everything right. I think I can do everything better than anybody else, and it's just in my mentality. I'm starting to get to the place now where I'm like, okay, you know, I have a team. They're better at this. They can do that. And it's humbling. But, man, the growth I've seen in that, where people, I mean, actually paying someone 40 hours to take care of that one thing, all of a sudden that's just growing. It's like, man, that's I got to get out of my own way.
Yeah, well, you know, the times are changing. You know, I'm very much like you. I think I can do it the best. Right? And I have this vision for how I want to get done, and I may ask somebody to do that, and it's not my vision, right? And that's the most challenging thing for me, is how do I get over that? Just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong, right? And I think as we get older and we start to hire a more millennial base and things like that, I need to allow that to let go and let that blossom as well, because their work ethic is slightly different. Right? And what challenges them is slightly different, and they want to be able to take things and kind of run with them. And I need to let that process happen. I'm not the most creative guy, so I need to find the most creative guy or the person in the room to do those things for me typically. So, yeah, absolutely.
How's the transition been for you from leaving down here
going
to LA?
I mean, the transition, you know, I've done this a lot. This is my 7th venue. Okay. You know, so
they couldn't have picked a better person to welcome the NFL to StubHub. I mean, to go from Qualcomm to StubHub is
well, you know, it's great, and it's been a great experience. You know, I really wanted to get back into professional sports. I've been out for a little bit. You know, I love Valley View. I love the golf. It's tremendous. Hockey is such a great sport to work in my business. You know, great beverage sales, great fans, great food. You know, so that was easy. But getting in professional sports is slightly different. You know, working back with the Galaxy again, and, you know, the Chargers have been just great. And just having that NFL experience. You know, I worked for the Seahawks for a little bit, running the premium operations up there with the Sounders and Seahawks. And just getting back in that environment, there's nothing like it. You know, you lose sight of it. You know, sometimes it becomes a job very quick.
So what are you going to do now? I mean, you got the Chargers leaving, right? So
who's listening?
Right. Shoot. I mean, what's going to happen with?
Well, you know, I've never been complacent. You know, and I love the Galaxy, and I love working at StubHub. It's a great venue. I have a great partner, and I truly mean that. It's not bullshit. Like, I really love working there. It's great all around. But I have a need to constantly keep challenging myself. Sure. But I fell in love with Southern California too, so I have this predicament on my hands. You know, but for me, you know, I would love to, if we get the Raiders Stadium, I'd love to go maybe do that. If we get this Hollywood Park Stadium, I would love to go do that and challenge myself. I think I may regret saying that at some point, but you know, I want to keep challenging myself. So, you know, our properties within the company are kind of separated by revenue. You know, so you got your 1A, your 2A, 3A, up to a 5A. You know, Dodgers being probably our largest account in the entire company. You know, currently I'm a 3A, so anything bigger than that is good for me. You know, I'm doing about $14 million in top line sales right now is what I'm responsible for.
Well, your flexibility,
$14 million every year.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
I mean, your flexibility to your upper management must be amazing for them to be like, hey,
Well,
You
you know,
gotta-
not married, no kids.
Right.
My girlfriend's willing to travel, so I think that's a big part of it. Sometimes, I was working at United Center, perfect example. My DO, they're amazing guy, amazing staff, great venue. Those guys don't want to go anywhere.
Right.
They love Chicago, they love United Center, they love the Bulls and the Blackhawks. They just don't want to go.
Right.
For me, I'm somewhat transient now. I grew up in Ohio, Detroit. Then you go to Denver, then Seattle, Chicago, Boulder, San Diego, then here, and it's just like, well, what's next?
Right.
What's next for me to accomplish? And
Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas is big.
Vegas is scary.
Vegas
Right? It's scary.
be.
It's scary.
Vegas is big.
I don't know.
That's-
3 days in Vegas is scary. So I don't know about living.
I
there,
can't
but-
do 3 days.
3 days.
No,
is
I
a
can't.
I
long-
got to limit
It's
myself to like a
honestly-
day.
A
Like
day.
a good
I-
day.
24 hours.
Yeah.
I went there. Me and my girlfriend went there for 2 days and had to stay a third day just so I could drive home.
Right.
So yeah, living there scares me, but man, what a great city for a football team. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
And they're doing some great things in Vegas.
They are.
T-Mobile's an amazing venue, and I hear Madison Square Garden's coming out with this Spear concept. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I encourage you to check it out. I know it's kind of a competing company, but they have a really, really cool design. It's like a 360 arena experience where the entire exterior is digital.
Really?
And you can change like the messaging and things like that for
That's
whoever's in the
awesome.
building that night. And like you could be standing in one section of the building and hear the concert in Japanese and move over and hear it in English.
Wow.
Like it's just the most technologically advanced stadium being built today. So
That's incredible.
they're building two. They're building one in Vegas and then another one I think in Canada or somewhere overseas.
So tell us about a work week. Like your last work week up at StubHub. What happens before an NFL Sunday,
Man.
especially when you have a Galaxy game on Saturday?
Oh man, there's so many moving parts. You really rely on my team, but if let's say we have a Charger game on a Sunday, right?
So
And
Chargers played the 49ers.
Chargers played the
recently.
49ers. Well, that game in particular, we had a Galaxy game the day before.
Mhm.
So my typical week, I'm starting. I have my meetings that are still my standard meetings that are set up. All of the culinary prep that goes into it, scheduling.
How many chefs are we talking about?
We run with 2 full-time chefs. So I got my executive chef and Sue, and then we bring in 3 support chefs from the market to help us finish off production and game day coverage. So those folks will come in like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So chefs from Dodgers, chefs from the Forum, chefs Staples Center, Rose Bowl. That's one beautiful thing about Levy and the LA market is we have so many ways to help each other out. I was at Rose Bowl yesterday.
Oh, really?
Helping them out. And I'm at Valley View today helping cover the concert for my counterparts. So,
Okay.
get the culinary prep rolling, suite setup, catering setups, dry set all of our catering events, and just doing walkthroughs, ensuring signage is correct. A big piece going from Galaxy to Chargers is, no Galaxy signage for Charger games, no Charger signage for Galaxy games, make sure that's all cleaned up and consistent. Pulling out souvenir cups, switching those out, switching beer cups, switching product out of the stands. It's a process, but the more you do it, the more you get dialed in. The more the team gets dialed in, they get used to your expectations, and then it's just like clockwork.
How many people are on your team?
I have 11 full-time managers,
Okay.
and then for Galaxy, I won't bring in anybody. We're pretty locked in for Galaxy.
Sure.
Chargers becomes a coverage issue because we have so many spaces rolling for Chargers.
Lots of activation.
So,
spaces.
I'll have probably 5 to 6 more managers come in for a Chargers game just to help with coverage.
Gotcha.
So 11 full time. That includes like counting HR. So the team could be bigger, but I think we're doing a great job with the size we are. So why grow if you don't have to? Right?
I haven't been to StubHub. I've heard great
You
things
need to.
about it.
Honestly, you've heard the venues I've been to.
I just hate the Chargers.
And
though.
well, come for a Galaxy game, man. Come for a concert.
Yeah.
Come for boxing. Boxing's amazing
Yeah,
there.
I'd love
That's
to
the
come
other
Really?
piece. We had Triple G on Cinco de Mayo.
Did you
Wow.
really?
Yeah, $36 per cap.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
Incredible day. So, that was a back-to-back, too. So we had a boxing match the day before, rolled into the Triple G fight the next day. A lot of people don't realize that there's a second stadium within StubHub. It's within the ticketed area. It's built as a tennis stadium, but it's become a world-class boxing venue.
Okay.
There's been some historic fights at that venue. One of Triple G's first major wins was there.
How big is it? I mean, or how long
It's
has it been up?
9,000 people. So
Okay.
for the boxing, but you can expand it to 12.
Okay,
Yeah, so
that's big.
it's really cool, and it's outdoor, right? So that's what's kind of cool about it from a boxing. I got to see Cotto there. It was really cool. One of my first fights, and
Right.
yes,
I think
De
one
La
of-
Hoya's always there. He's always there promoting fights. So
That's awesome. I think one of the things that fascinates me the most is just the fact that you can be in hospitality and be in food and beverage and insert yourself into some of the biggest events that are ever happening. We had Bruce Howard, who's the general manager of Valley View Casino and Hotel, and he used to run Caesar's Palace back in the day when they did all the fights. And I mean, the events that you're putting on, and you're part of this entire production team that has to prep 7 days before this NFL game, and then go time happens, gates open, and you have to figure out different ways to add value to the guest experience, because that's really the extra benefit. And I mean, it's not just in sports venues. I mean, we just went to, with my wife and my son, we went up to San Diego Safari Park.
Oh, yeah.
And to see what they're trying to do, not on the same level that Levy does, but they're trying to make the food and beverage experience better because, hey, guess what? People are there. They want to spend money. It's easy. They'll stay longer, and you'll have a better experience, right? Yeah. So what kind of things has Levy done to support you and your growth? I mean, you've been working there for 11 years?
Well, I've had great people behind me. Every one of these opportunities is because somebody was looking out for me. It obviously hard work goes into that.
Yeah.
But I don't ask for anything. I've never asked for one of these opportunities. I've never asked to move anywhere. And it's not the same leadership. We got West Coast leadership, we got Midwest leadership. It's different people that I've worked with over the years within Levy and built relationships with.
Who's the best?
I won't go in there. At least you didn't ask me who the worst was.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Well, who's been a good mentor? I mean, that's something.
Ian Orr's my. Man, I just had so many good people in my life. Craig Appel, who's actually taken over Valley View now, was so instrumental early in my career.
Mm-hmm. What did he teach you?
He believed in me before anybody. He didn't necessarily teach me much because I didn't work with him directly, but he saw my skill set. He believed in me. He put me in situations to be successful. Mm-hmm. So there were times where, you go on these support trips, they ask for certain people because they're comfortable with them, and instead of sending one person, they would send me instead to give me the opportunity to showcase my skill set. And, he was always putting me in the position to showcase my skill set. So he had always believed in me, and he gave me my first opportunity, and then Ian, when the opportunity came up, to come to the West Coast, I was the first person he thought of because I was on the tail end of him being at Seattle, and he just knew my work ethic. Like, I'll work an 18-hour day, 7 days a week. And that's just what it is. No breaks. I'm not going to fail. No lunch. That's it. At the end of the day, you're as good as your weakest team member, and I believe that, but I'm not going to fail because of that team member either. Sure. So if I have to work 18 hours to make it happen, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it every time, it's not necessarily the right thing to do.
No, it's to a fault because I do the same shit.
So I burnt myself out several times.
Yeah, it's hard. It's extremely, extremely hard, and it's like I tell people, like, I don't know how to fail. Like, I can't allow myself to even have that in my mind that's even a fucking option. Yep. To me, it's not an option. If I want to put my mind to something, but there is some bad things that happen with that because I will work until my fucking hands are bleeding and I haven't slept or whatever. And it takes a toll on you for sure.
Well, yeah, that was honestly CU for me when I at college because it was my first big gig, right? My first big responsibility. And I worked like 6 months straight, straight. And I thought, man, I was breaking down at the end. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I'd worked with the company for 7 years at that point, but it took everything I had. So really, Ian was almost a lifeline to me. I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this any longer. I got it to the point where it needed to be, but I couldn't have kept at that pace. I would have killed myself. Whereas somebody else can maybe step away and just not be as involved as me. But I just can't allow that to happen.
And sometimes
I think that's why I do a lot of the openings for Levy. I think because they know know that I'm willing to do that. So.
You're willing to go into the burning fire.
Sometimes
hospitality.
Valley View. I got there. My first week there, we were getting crushed, and I went to a stand and I was frying chicken tenders and French fries. Yeah. And the cooks were there like nobody's ever done this before, and I'm like, if you fail, I fail. So I'm going to stay on this fryer.
Less talking. Let's get.
So I'm going to stay on this fryer until we break this line down. So it was just like they were so amazed by that, but instantly won them over first week. Right.
No, I have an issue with it because a lot of times when I first came in here, I expected everyone else to do the same thing I did. Yeah, and I didn't understand it. It was really, really hard for me to understand, like, why they're not working as hard. Yeah. Like, why are you not, like, why are you leaving? Yeah. The shit's not done. We don't, it's not the end of your shit. Like, we have to get this done. It's not done. Why are you leaving? Yeah. And for a while, my dad just said, hey, you got to understand that they're not, the same way as you. They don't understand certain things, but he's like, it's a blessing that you want to do those things, but you can't expect everybody else to do the same exact thing. So again, it's putting people in place where they want to stay. Exactly. So the HR or whatever it is that they want to do, like, okay, then I'm going to have you in that position. That way you want to stay and finish that job. So you're not, like, fuck, I got to do this. Like, you're excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. Yeah. That's so crazy.
We have people that listen to the podcast all over the U.S., even some in Canada as well. What kind of advice would you give to them if they wanted to get a job working at Levy or get into sports entertainment?
Call me. We got openings. You know, we're growing at such a fast clip right now.
Really?
And this business is so crazy, right? You got to love this.
You got to know people. You also got to know people.
And you got to know people.
Yeah.
Like I talked to you about beforehand. I didn't know this existed. I think a lot more people know it's out there now, but like I said, I lose sight of it just like the fans lose sight of it. Sure. And I remember being in Seattle and, seeing Pete Carroll and all the Seahawks players and saying hi to them, and Richard Sherman, and just normal day for me. Ride the elevator,
Awesome.
And it's just, and then it clicked for me. One day they were doing a tour and I was standing in the elevator with this 9-year-old boy, and Pete Carroll gets on, and this kid loses his mind. Right. And I'm just like, man, I see Pete every day and don't even think about it. Yeah. I'm just like, how cool is this? How cool is this? And so you got to kind of remind yourself, so definitely cool experiences. But my advice would be, just see what's out there. If it's a Levy situation, I think being a fan of sports helps, but being a fan of just fast-paced environments, we're given a lot of leniency to be creative and bring ideas to the table. We've evolved significantly as a company over the last, I would say, 5 years. It's at a rapid pace right now. So, you got to want to work. You got to want to work.
The work part.
It's a bad word.
And the willingness to not care what your job code is, I think, is something that is kind of vital to your success. When you're willing to put yourself in positions, even at an entry level, people like you, people like Ari, people like Matt Savant, people like Ernie, like, they'll find you. You'll be the one that's busting your ass, that's helping somebody by doing stuff. And eventually somebody's going to notice you, and they're going to say, hey, we want that person because he's here every time, or she's here. She's always here.
Well, no matter
what event it is. That's the person that's breaking it down.
Going to a company that really wants the best people, because, my wife works for a civil and environmental engineering company, and her company got acquired. They're like AECom. There ended up being like 100,000 people, and it was all about titles. Like, she had to get this title, then she had to go over here, and they're like, we got to kind of let you go to this other company. Then once you get that title, we can bring you back. And you don't want to work for that type of company. You do not want to work for people like that do not care. If I'm downstairs and I'm watching people, and I watch all my employees, and if there's someone that's just busting ass, I don't give a fuck if you're a dishwasher, whatever it is. I'm bringing you up, we're talking, I'm going to bonus you. I'm going to say, hey, you're doing the right thing. Let's go. What else do you want to do? What do you want to do? What are your goals? How do you want to get better? That's what you want to be. That's where you want to be in a company. And Levy doing that is just awesome.
No, I honestly, that's what I'm looking for.
Sure.
Tomas Perez is a great example at Valley View. He's a
rock star,
hard worker.
Yeah.
He's going to learn the business as time goes on, and we're going to get him there.
Right.
But he's a hard worker. He wants to do the right thing. That's the key. Do you want to do the right thing? Yeah. And I think that's what's important. You got to find those people that, regardless, they're just making good decisions, right? I don't have to make every decision, and every decision you make is not going to be right. You're going to make a mistake. And like I tell everybody, so, do you have a reason for the decision you made? Did you think it through? Just because, your conclusion wasn't right, you thought it through. It wasn't just haphazard. So this is a process you went through. You're going to fail, but at least you took that upon yourself to take those steps.
But it's also, it goes to their intent. What is your integrity? What is your intent when you're going to do that? Are you going to jump behind the kitchen fryer because, you want to fuck this thing up? Or no, you're just doing it because you see all these tickets and you see all this huge line waiting for people to come in. Hey, I don't know how to run the fryer, but I'm going to jump on the fryer anyways. You do that. Thomas sees that. Tomas, he'll put himself into positions where, hey, guess what? You don't become a manager by being in the most comfortable positions. You have to be in uncomfortable
especially
positions.
in smaller environments.
Smaller environments.
You got to be willing to do everything. I'm pushing portables.
I saw you mopping $2 beers that were spilled in the walkway on a Goals Friday.
I pick up trash. Because that's what everybody. My client does that.
Dude, I'm telling
you. If she's doing it, I'm doing it. I'm not going to walk past that and then have somebody come behind me and pick it up. Why?
I took out the trash yesterday in the bathrooms.
It's just why. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What am I going to do? I'm going to go out there and say, hey, can someone go do this?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking do it, man. Just get it done. It's going to be easier that way. Josh at NextGen was having the similar, dilemma at his work where he's a general contractor, and one of his newer employees was wanting to, he has a lot of subs, and the subs are like, oh, we can't do this. We're not going to get done on time. And so his superintendent would start doing it and get it all done. And Josh is like, look, your intent's great, and you're looking out for the team, but I promise they're going to get it fucking done. Yeah. So he just had to teach him a certain way how to get things done. Like, your intent's great. Those type of people, I'll fucking work with them all day long. Mm-hmm. They're going to come in here. They got the best, our best interests at heart all day long. If you want to work hard, we'll move you up the ladder. No problem at all.
I would say, talking about moving to LA though, that's been the biggest struggle. Is the employment base here, or, from an hourly perspective, is very different than what I'm used to. Very different than the Midwest. Even from a union, non-union perspective, Valley View is non-union. LA's all union everywhere up there.
Oh, really?
And it's just a different workforce, a little different management. We talked about, just a little more laid back. Just half hour rolling in, before doors, or setting up slow. Though that's been my biggest adjustment here, because I grew up hour before doors. You're set, ready to go. People just kind of on their own schedule out here. And you see it. LA's even worse. I have to staff an extra 30 people every event just to hopefully get to my staffing level, because we'll have 47 call-offs.
Really?
We'll
how many staff
20 people not have? Coming in. 300, about 300 hourly concession team members, about 150 premium culinary staff.
Yeah.
So 400, 500 employees on a game day, I'm responsible for.
Yeah, I think that's not just a California, San Diego, Los Angeles thing. I think it's something that the hospitality business is facing just in general.
Well, it's tough in our environment.
Unemployment has been at the, it's the lowest it's ever been in so long.
We talk about that all the time.
Plus you can go and be an Uber driver. There's multiple different ways to make money than you could before. You have to be willing to not care about money to put yourself in a position to do a really shitty job.
Yeah.
Like if you think about taking out the trash or cleaning fryer oil. To put yourself into a position where you could get to running an entire facility for Levy. You didn't get to your position by, by only doing managerial work.
No, not at all. Not at all. I actually worked I tell people I got my first job when I was 14. And I haven't been unemployed a day since then. Since that day, not one day.
How many call-outs?
But no, call-outs, my mom wouldn't let me call off when I was working at Wendy's. So, I worked at Wendy's for 9 years. So, to put my dedication in perspective, I was going to college, living in the dorms, driving back to my hometown on the weekends because Wendy's was helping me pay for books.
Really?
So I'd go back and work on the weekends as a supervisor, and I do that every weekend.
Really? How far?
About a 2-hour drive.
2-hour drive, wow.
Where'd you go to college?
My Bowling Green in Ohio. My internship, my senior year, was with Hyatt Hotels. And I had got the internship too late. And I had already signed a lease in Bowling Green for the summer. It was my summer of my senior year. And but it was such a good internship, I couldn't pass it up. It's in Columbus, 3 hours away, so one way. So I would drive. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and drive to open the restaurant at 6 a.m. and then drive back home at after a 10-hour shift every day.
Wow.
6 hours.
But part of that also taught you the discipline for now doing what you do.
Taught me to live a lot closer to work. Yeah. But it did. I look back on that and I'm just like, man, how did I do that? But it's always looking back and you got through it. You pushed through it. So, but yeah, crazy times like that. I went from Wendy's to Omni to Levy. That was my career.
Yeah.
And I started with Levy, entry-level position. I was just a little club manager of one little bar at the Pepsi Center, home of the Abs and Nuggets, and that lasted about 6 months, and then kind of started my progression.
Outside of the Boulder experience, was there any time where you failed? You thought maybe hospitality or maybe these 18-hour days isn't what I want?
I think you always, sometimes in the back of your head, you're like, man, why am I doing this to myself? Mm-hmm. My friends have it a lot easier, and
you work when everyone plays.
But this is what I know. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm passionate about. I love people. I love hearing people's stories. I grew up in the Midwest, relatively lower middle class, or poor if you want to be a dick about it, I guess. So, I've been afforded these great opportunities, man. I've lived all over the country or all over the United States, I've been fortunate enough to meet all these great people, all these different ideas, and work in all these environments. I met Paul Allen, he's,
just passed
rest
away.
in peace, but he's a great guy. I met Obama. I've met Bill Clinton. I met George Bush. I did the DNC for Obama, the Grammys, and Indian Wells, and meeting Sharapova, and all. I just getting to talk to people and all these experiences. My passion for music, and getting to see all these artists, and just know the business more is, I'll work the 18 hours for that.
Yeah, sure.
All the time, man. Just because it's like how many people get to do that kind of stuff, and there's other benefits. I go to a lot of shows, So
well, I mean, I think that's it's really important because there are so many opportunities to work in the things that you love that aren't direct. I mean, you just don't know about it.
Yeah.
You don't know about Levy, and you don't. You went to hospitality.
Yeah.
Your school was for hospitality, and you didn't even know that Levy did things like this, and now you do, and now there's so many different opportunities for people to
and it's not just
to get involved. Yeah, it's not just
we have a restaurants division now. We have a convention center division.
Festivals.
Festivals. We're in zoos now. We just got another contract that's going to be getting announced
Walt
soon.
Disney.
So every sport. We have about 90% of the NBA, NHL venues in North America. So it's part of some really cool O2 Arena. In London is ours. So it's been really cool experiences, man. And, you get to go to all these places and be a part of this stuff. And it's a lot of hard work. USTA, Kentucky
Flushing
Derby,
Meadows.
all these great venues, Palm Springs tennis tournament, but it's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of camaraderie, and there's a lot of looking back and just looking at what you accomplished and saying, you just experienced something that nobody else did,
Well, I mean, just at Valley View Casino Center, you grew it from 1.2 to 6 million?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
6 months.
significant increase.
Yeah. I'm up right now, StubHub, we're up 11.6% for Galaxy games year over year.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm up $3 in my per cap for Chargers games already.
Wow.
Over last year.
I mean,
What do you attribute that to?
We hit the ground running this year, and I think we have a better sense of the business. I have a year under my belt, at the venue. I've got to see some of the challenges. It's very important, when you're telling people what to do or operationally walking through things, you got to get in the locations. You got to be in the butcher's shoes to know what your expectation is, and that year gave me time to get into the stands, walk through the operations of every stand, the flow of every stand. Does this make sense? Run menu mix for Chargers and Galaxy. And how can we alter this stand to make it great for both sports so we're not constantly making changes? And, it takes some time, and you got to see the business first and see how it affects what you're doing, and then make the adjustments, and I think we just came into this year just with a really, really good strategy. We 49ers game, is my badge, I guess, of honor, $33 per cap. That's something we had never seen, and I remember looking at last year and doing a $30 per cap for NFL and saying, wow, like a good Kings game in perspective, a great Kings game, like $25 per cap,
wow.
For perspective.
Hockey, right?
Yeah. So to be doing that it's a big deal. It shouldn't go unnoticed, and that not only is that per cap growth, but that's attendance growth. So usually you see attendance growth and see your per caps go down, but that's not the case. We've seen attendance grow and per caps grow. So, it's been great. Team doing well helps.
Yeah,
it's LA. The Galaxy's Zlatan certainly helps, sell some more beer and hot dogs. But, it's strategy and it's operations as well. Great partner. Our partner there, AEG, is willing to invest in ideas. And we've had great sponsors come in there as well. Sub revenue. So, our local vendors there, we're doing, $15K. Before Galaxy, now they're doing $30,000 to $40,000, and Chargers are up to $90,000.
Really?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing, dude.
And that's loss in revenue for us, but it's
Sure.
allowing us to focus on other things that we do great, like Beverage.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have focus on our clubs a little bit more. All inclusive spaces are helping drive that for premium.
How many people do you have come in outside
What do you mean?
for vending in the?
Oh, so it's different. It depends on the sport. So we built these sub stalls in the front, 6 sub stalls, and I put 6 different local vendors in there. So let's talk Chargers.
Are they all kind of smaller places, or
about the same size?
Okay.
Some of them vary. We got a smaller empanada shop. We got a taco
place?
concept, a barbecue
Brothers
concept.
Barbecue?
Yeah, my father's barbecue.
My father's barbecue.
So
Yeah.
they have a standalone right down the road, and so slightly smaller, probably not as big as Cali Comfort or Pizza Port, but some mid-range local businesses, and then the biggest one would be Buffalo's, which is a part of Fat Burger. Okay. So I brought in a Buffalo's concept, been a great partner. That's my newest partner, probably.
Well, that just creates more experience.
Yeah,
for
fan experience.
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
then they sell beverage for me.
Sure.
So it's great,
Right.
So that's the strategy. We bring them in. We give them beer and water to sell for us, give them a kickback, as a percentage back to them for selling it for us, certainly. But if you're standing in line for wings, you don't have to get in another line for beer or water, and that helps me with my line control, right? And that's a new strategy we weren't doing before.
Dude, nothing worse.
For me. So it's like
going through 2 lines. I'm parched.
Yeah, and we're limited. We're limited with our point of sale because of the venue size already.
Right.
So how do you make these lines shorter? You can only add so many extra point of sale. You got to add these options, right? So just eliminate that second line, really.
Well, I mean, think about it. For me, when I'm going to have an experience, if I can load up and load up all my hands and go back to my seat, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
So I'll probably buy even more than I'm even going to consume if I can do it all right here and I don't have to go in another line.
Yeah, we just rolled out, I'm demoing some kiosks right now, some mobile kiosks. And I don't know if you guys have been to McDonald's inside, but that's basically their system now. So we're doing some similar stuff, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing bucket sizes increase. Folks are going up. I caught myself doing it at McDonald's, like, I'll take this extra cheeseburger. Why not, right? So we're seeing that. So technology is playing a big part in that too. And, cashless and things like that.
Cashless, I love it.
Incorporating things like that into the venue. I took one stand and went cashless. So it's just credit cards, right? So employee theft, down, right? Less money to count at the end of the night. Fans feel better about it, because they know they're getting the right change, right product. The kiosk ordering, fans love it. They know they're in control of what they're ordering. And then what that helps me do is now I can run a whole stand with 2 expediters.
Yeah.
I don't need 7 cashiers.
Right.
And then you're not dealing with the theft anymore, or loss of revenue. So,
who does the fish tacos up at StubHub?
We do.
You do it in house. I had those last time. They were incredible.
Yeah. That's us. That's one of our new things this season.
So what about the strawless?
Strawless,
because I see everything, and I saw your sign.
Yeah. So big fan of that. We're the first soccer specific venue in North America to go strawless. So which is a great program. It's part of the LA Galaxy's Protect the Pitch initiative. So it came about from LA Galaxy and AEG and them coming to me with this idea and, us being willing partners. That it takes everybody to be involved and have buy-in. And, there's some concerns. So we tried it in a couple stands first, strawless and lidless. Mm-hmm. So, they're both on request. First I went paper.
Yep. Right.
And then we just said, well, let's just see what happens. Right. Honestly, not much pushback. I think people are getting used to it. The straw thing for me, I think, is the biggest one. I don't mind not having a lid, but I like having a straw. But, if we know we can divert that from the oceans, living here, I want to do that. I want to be a healthy partner in our environment. So, AAG was on board. We're on board. I think it was great initiative. The biggest pushback from fans have been stir sticks.
So
everybody's going here. It's going to be there.
One quick fun story. How did you start selling fish bowls down at Valley View when you were down there?
How did I start selling them?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Weren't you the only?
Oh, the Cali fish bowls?
Yeah, the Cali fish
bowls. The 64-ounce Cali fish bowl. I had to get legal sign up on it. Oh, shoot. I'm
still proud of that.
I can't believe we pulled it off.
I can't believe
it
either.
Are they still selling it?
I think they are. Yeah, they're still selling the fish bowls.
Oh, man, my favorite was
how did you
get the Justin Bieber concert?
How did you get
Justin Bieber, all the moms are hanging out in front of Cali Comfort. I'm like, we're not selling any barbecue, really. What's going on? They're all just straws in a fish bowl right now. So
love it.
I loved it. The ducks were great. That was a selling point for me.
Yeah,
everybody, Ernie loved it. Instant, as soon as he saw it, how do we make this happen? I may have introduced it and then let folks know. 2 IDs, right? That's my excuse.
So how can people get a hold of you?
I'm not as social media savvy as all you folks, but Levy West Division on Instagram, and then Chef Esteban. Is our local chef. He's on Instagram as well. There's Chef Esteban and Chef Ross as well. He's our executive chef there.
Perfect.
So
they're both on
handles.
Instagram. We'll put those in the show notes.
We post a lot of our special items for the day. Any promotional stuff like the strawless, anything that's new coming out. So, that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Awesome.
LevyRestaurants.com if you're looking for a job.
Perfect. Well, we really appreciate your time. We do have a couple things to go over. Spring Valley Barbecue. Coming real quick, Derek. Are you ready?
I mean,
Do you know that it's not? It's
just
next Sunday.
yeah, I do know that.
We're shutting
do you
down.
Want to
the
know how I
Village?
know that?
How do you
Because
know
we were
that?
just driving around, and you told me and reminded me, and I'm like,
I was like, oh yeah.
I think there's a sign somewhere.
yeah, I haven't been on my A game with this, so we're
gonna step it up.
We're gonna get this. I mean,
9 years.
I don't think it's that I think it goes back to what we're saying. We're a lot better at delegating now.
Yeah.
So the team that we have
Yes.
is doing so much, and they're doing an amazing job.
I like
so it's
that.
taken us. I think what it is because you and I did it by ourselves.
We're used to putting the cones out.
And we put the cones down. We fucking shut down the street, and we were here. We did not sleep. That when we don't do that, we kind of feel like, oh shit, we're not really.
We're screwed. We need to get ready.
We need to get doing that. But our whole they already got a plan. So
this is true.
I'm excited about it. It's going to be our 9th annual one. We are going to have a kid-friendly event. Try some barbecue samples. We'll have different restaurants out. We'll have it open to the public. Right on Troy Street in Spring Valley. Love to see you guys. It's something that's great for the community. We talk about it a lot, but it's something that what better way to bring people together than to have some good food? And it doesn't matter about your religion, doesn't matter about your race, doesn't matter about your gender. Come have some good food, free hugs, free smiles,
free selfies.
Please come down.
Free selfies, wobble competition. Tony will be out there. We got Tim Hurley Band, Zaj Band. It's going to be a great day, NFL Sunday. We hope that you guys can make it. This week's social shout out goes to Sharkman Dan. He's been posting hashtagging Behind the Smoke. Every week we give away a social shout out. So Dan, you're going to get a sexy new mug. You can use that. Dan's actually competing, signed up. He took the plunge, first barbecue competition. So this is our amateur contest, and he is fired up to compete. He's also been following the podcast. So congratulations, welcome. We'll see how you do, and we're excited to have you.
You'll do great. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. If you guys listen to this, if you make it to any Chargers games, hit me up, hit us up on social. Let me know, and we'll bug Joey while he's running around running his operations. And,
He'll have nothing to do. I promise.
You
totally calm. There's no worries.
Yeah, you can interview. You can ask him a bunch of questions about the podcast because he'll have plenty of time to answer it. Thank you for your time, Joey. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, this is Shawn and Derek, and we just really want to thank you for listening to the podcast. It means the world to us. We'd like you to go check out BehindTheSmokeMedia.com. That's our website where we have barbecue resources for you to help build your barbecue business. We also have events listed, so anything that's happening in the West Coast barbecue movement, anything that's going on, we want you to go check that out so you can learn more and get involved. We also have show notes from all the episodes, so anything we talked about in the episodes, you can find detailed show notes there. Plus, you can just get in touch with us. It's important that we're here as a resource for you, so please reach out. Let us know how Derek and I can help you with your barbecue journey. Get involved, stay curious, and follow us on social at Barbecue War Stories. We'll talk to you soon.